You know what time it is. You know what time it is.
How firm thy friendship. Oh,
you know what time it is. On the road with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lames. Buckeyes by a billion. We in the building with over 100,000. We represent from the uttermost to the public housing. If we don't play, our wide receivers got your secondary shook, so they cook them like Bobby Flay. Hey, stay out of my way and trust me, cause I know it's OH. Somebody please give this brother an IO. Come on.
What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys, where we talk about college football with real fans. I'm Devin. That's Mello. And we got a special guest, man. We got the Podfather in the house. You know, and it's kind of, I want everybody to realize something. This is so cool when I realize this. It's almost like having like Urban Meyer on the YouTube show with you. And you know how Urban Meyer has this coaching tree that just starts expanding throughout everywhere. That's what the Podfather is. I mean, he just got, his tree is just branching out. I mean, forever. I mean, you got us, you got Sean and TG. Dude, the list goes on. And dude, 10 years from now, Podfather, you're going to be at the top of the tree, and every Ohio State YouTube show would have been essentially birthed from you. You know what I mean? How does that make you feel?
Kind of like Andy Reid, and I look more and more like Andy Reid every time I look in the mirror. Dude, that was very kind of you, but I will be completely 100% honest with you guys. I am in your shade. Your tree has grown much larger. You guys are absolutely killing it, and like a proud daddy, I'm sitting back and just admiring everything you guys do. I'm so proud of you, Dev, Mello, the Buckeye Boys. And that's the one thing that I really can't, I guess you could say, hang my hat on is the fact that I got kind of helped you guys out, get started a little bit, but you guys were going to do it whether I was here or not. You guys were going to do it, and you guys have done it. Congratulations, you guys are killing it.
Appreciate you.
Well, yeah, we appreciate that, but if I'm being honest, I don't know if I would have jumped out on the limb if you weren't so inviting. I'm not going to say this because you're here, but I do just want to say this and show the importance of this because, as a follower of Christ, and I often look at this world and I think, man, how much better would this world be if everybody was like Christ and helped one another out? Well, you look at this little tiny situation here, man, and you look at kind of what you did, right? This YouTube game, it's so competitive.
Oh, it is.
Everybody is so competitive. So for somebody to allow, I tried it on my channel and I failed, right? It was really hard for me to control emotions and everything else that come with it. And I'm just being real with everybody. It's hard to do that. I'm not saying that was the ultimate thing or whatever, but I personally know how hard it is to have that. But the competitive nature of it, but to allow somebody to come on your channel and grow kind of their brand, and then when we came to you and said, hey, we're gonna go off and do our thing, it was nothing but, well, how can I help you? And that's just kind of crazy, man. And that's the way I wish more people were like that. Because can you imagine if Buckeye Nation, just this small little thing, if all the YouTube shows got along and were nice to each other, all the stuff that could happen as a result of that. But I just wanted to point that out, man, because it's really cool to see that. And I think stuff like that these days, it's so rare. It needs to be pointed out. So we appreciate you. Seriously.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. And like my daddy says, man, you gotta walk the walk. Just don't talk the talk.
Got to. Sir. Amen. Well, chat, we appreciate you guys joining us. I forgot you were here for a second, but I never forget about you too awful long. Hit that like button if you would, please. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. We got an exciting show planned for you guys. It's something a little different, and we want you guys to interact in this show, right? So here's the deal. We're going to compare last year's team to this year's team, and here's the format of it. I went down and wrote down all the stats of the 14 players that got drafted, the 16 that left total, right? And for instance, we say Howard. I'll read his stats, and then we will talk about Julian Sayin for a second, and we will decide whether we think Julian Sayin is going to be better than or worse than Will Howard. And all three of us here, we only get one wash. We can only pick. I think it's going to be pretty even one time. And at the end of this, we will go down through and we will see, hey, where is the 25 team compared, right, to the 24 team last year? This is going to be very tough. I've been thinking about it and doing it, and there's going to be some tough decisions here. But are you guys ready to roll?
Yeah, let's get it started. The chat's already starting without us, so we got to catch up.
Let's start with it, man. Will Howard threw for 4,010 yards last year, 35 passing touchdowns, 256 rushing yards with 7 rushing touchdowns. He threw for 73.1%. Julian Sayin, sophomore, 5-star, Elite 11 champ, the whole 9 yards, big time. With breaking down defenses and processing the playbook and making decisions and very elite passer. I guess I'll go first. And this is the first one. I'm taking my wash, man.
Yeah.
I'm taking it, dude.
Oh.
Rip. Right off the rip, I'm taking the wash, and it's only because of the inexperience of Julian Sayin. So, Podfather, let us hear it.
In 2026, a year from now, I think we might be more confident in what the answer will be because we'll have a sample size to choose from. We just don't have that at this moment. So I'm going to be negative Nancy, and I'm saving my wash. I want to say wash, but I'm not going to because I'm saving that for another position. I've been thinking about this all day. I will be that guy who says not better, but you can convince me by the end of the year he might be because of the guys he'll be throwing the football to and the offensive line he has. But the experience thing makes me caution. So I'm going to say not better this year overall. By the end of the season might be, but not overall.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, what a beautiful
Mellow
day. We all have different answers.
Here we go.
And
I knew it.
I'm saying better.
Going to happen.
And there's plenty of reasons why. I think the offensive line is better. I think the run game is just going to be just as potent, if not better, is going to be on the same level. We have Max Clare, as someone also pointed out in the chat. Jelani Thurman's going to play a major part. And I really don't know how you stop this offense. He already has better arm talent than Will Howard. You could tell by how the guys talked about him at their pro days and at the combine when they were asked about him. He's elite. You could talk about when they interviewed Heartline during spring game and they said, what is Julian's superpower? He says he could diagnose and read a defense before he snaps the ball. That's like 90% of a battle mentally. So he already knows where he's going with the ball. He knows where the matchup is. Unless you're super great at disguising it, I think he's going to have better numbers.
Yeah. This is so hard because I could talk myself out of every answer that I give. You know what I mean? So I really try to focus on like him as a player, next year specifically. And there's some things about leadership that can only be taught and can only be learned through experience, right? You can only read so many leadership books, and Will Howard had that experience. So, but I like it. Everybody's breakdown. It's kind of what it is, man. So,
can I ask you guys a question about this before we go to the next position?
For sure.
Well, first off, is my volume okay? It seemed like it was down.
It's good on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe a little low, but it's good.
Okay. I just bumped it up a little bit. So
cool.
If Julian Sayin is CJ Stroud year one, meaning what we saw in 2021 from CJ Stroud, is that better than Will Howard?
My opinion. And Will Howard had more talent around him, arguably.
Now, see, this is kind of what I was thinking of there. And when I pick a wash, it's not because I think Julian Sayin is going to be bad. It's because of how good I thought Will Howard was. And I think you're talking about the same type of level there. And some people will call me crazy, but I just got mad respect for what Will Howard did last year. Not just on the football field. It's not just about the passes and stuff. Everything he did, he won a national title. So you might put him over the 21s. You might put him over Stroud in that regards. Like, I mean, the dude went and got it done. You know what I mean? So that's my take. That's how I feel. So chat, that's a good question, man. Chat, what you guys think? We'll throw some of them up there. So this next one, running back, we're going to be stuck with talking about our 1 and 2 running back the whole time. We can't just pick one and do it. That's just not the way this team's set up anymore. Travion Henderson, 1,016 yards, 10 touchdowns, 284 receiving yards. Quinshawn, 1,060 yards rushing, 14 TDs, and 161 yards receiving. Mello, you have the honors. It's James Peoples and CJ Donaldson that will be the replacements.
So for me, I think the O-line will be better than last year's. But with that being said, I'm going to have to say, and we've heard that the run game, Coach Locke thinks the run game is going to be better this year, and he legit believes that. But I have to see it because, I mean, Trey and Q were elite. They're at a whole nother level. So I have to see it. And, I mean, CJ, he lost a lot of weight. He's gotten quicker. They look good in the spring game, but we also weren't tackling to the ground as well. So with that, I have to see it. And I understand the chat saying we have to see what it's saying to believe it, but we hear from people inside the Woody saying is ripping it up. And I mean, this is just a projection. That's why we're doing it. It's not like, oh, we saw something. No, we haven't seen it, but with all the information that we know and what's surrounding this team and what Coach Day does with QBs, like, come on, you could take an educated guess at what his numbers are probably going to look like. But yeah, that's it.
Wait, did you pick so which running back?
I said not as good. I picked 24.
Okay, got you. Cool.
Last year's team.
All right. Podfather.
Q and Trey were the highest drafted duo since Archie Griffin and Pete Johnson in 1974. And we're gonna say we're gonna be better than that. I think we need to be realistic here. Can their production get close to it? Possibly, based off the play on the offensive line. But there's no ounce of my conscience that says, oh yeah, we're gonna be better than that. Like it took us 51 years. No, 50 years. It took us 50 years to match that production from 1974. So no.
Yeah. When I think of the running backs, I try to not think about how good our offensive line is going to be this year in doing this because I'm focused just on the running backs themselves. And I mean, Trey's blocking was elite. Quinshawn's was elite.
Yeah.
Lack of experience. I mean, this one is very obviously in favor of the 24 team, if you ask me. And again, none of these things, it's just a fun little exercise. It's nothing negative. I mean, you know, Boggs just said it. 50 years. Those are the two best running backs we've seen in 50 years as far as production and draft picks go. So, I mean, like realistically, you know, James Peoples and CJ Donaldson can end up being the second best in 50 years and blow our minds, but still second compared to them is pretty darn good.
There's a stat. I was thinking about this the other day. I can't remember when they fumbled. I
only
literally
one time Q fumbled in the Oregon game. He had a broken hand. Trey never fumbled his entire 4 years.
Yep.
0 donuts.
That's insane.
I mean, how many times we watch football games and they're fumbling the ball all around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to have 0 in 4 years,
dude,
he needs a statue just for that. That's like unheard of.
I feel like I'm going to say this several times tonight, and I don't know if it's the homer in me or what it is, but I don't really care. This is one of these position groups. I'm not sure Buckeye Nation realizes how good James People and CJ Donaldson are going to be, though.
Maybe.
Yeah,
They look great in the spring game. Spring game, dude, they had holes the size you could drive trucks through.
Yeah.
Podfather, I'm telling you right now, I've talked to some recruits and some parents where Coach Locke legit told them this run game is going to be better than last year's.
Coach Locke's confidence is amazing. Like,
I just need to see it because Q and Trey were just so ridiculous. But what I'm hearing right now is they're working on pass blocking because that's what they're lacking in terms of what Q and Trey had. So that's what the running backs right now are focusing on. That's going to be, to me, the distinguishing factor, because if they could pass block and give Julian an extra second, it's going to be ugly.
All righty. Well, we've got through 2 position groups. It's been 16 minutes. We only have 20 more to go. So we're going to be on here for about another 280 minutes. So that's going to be pushing 4 hours and 40 minutes we have left. I don't know if you guys ate anything or not, but if you need a break, let me know. So we'll go ahead and move on.
We'll be quicker.
The wide receivers, we're going to just, talk about all 3 of them. Wide receivers as a group. Emeka Egbuka is the only one we're losing. Had 1,011 yards, 10 touchdowns, 33 rush yards. I mean, dude, Mylan Graham, Brandon Ennis, Carnell Tate, Quincy Porter. Not a knock on Emeka Egbuka, but I'm gonna, and JJ in his second year, and Carnell with that more experience. I mean, this one goes to the 25 class for me, and then it was actually Podfather's turn to go first, but I screwed that one up. So,
no,
take it away.
This year, it's that simple.
Yeah,
unanimous. It doesn't even need to be explained. If it has to be explained, then I don't understand.
Yeah, I agree. These wide receivers this year are going to be absolutely insane. And I think, Mylan Graham is going to be one of those to get on there and do that. So we can talk a little bit more about, we can at least give 30 seconds of input. You guys are just answering
hold
the
on.
question now. Which,
I'm sorry. I don't mean to prolong this, but why do you guys feel like the wide receiver is going to be better? I can tell you why I think so. For the same reason for the first question, why I picked Julian Sayin. I think Julian Sayin could just deliver the ball better than Will Howard, period. It took Will Howard a while to adjust to playing with faster and more elite wide receivers. That's why in the beginning of the season, he was underthrowing everything. Everything was underthrown. That should have been.
When I'm doing this,
I think Julian already has the timing down.
I'm just looking at the players individually. I'm not looking at who's throwing on the ball or who's blocking for the running backs. It's just players individually. And mainly because of the experience that Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are bringing back. Gotcha. And that's the main reason for me anyway. Not that Brandon Ennis is better than Emeka Egbuka. I don't think he will be, actually. But the JJ and Carnell are going to be that much better.
Yeah.
So that would be my reasoning.
I think JJ's going to garner so much attention from defenses that Carnell Tate and whoever else they put in there, hypothetically, should absolutely just have monster seasons.
Yeah.
And that to me is, you look as on a whole, and then on top of that, if someone's dumb enough to try to go one-on-one with Jeremiah,
yeah, he's going to eat him alive.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. So that one goes to this year's, the 2025 team we're calling them. Next one up, tight end. Podfather, give us the breakdown of who we lost, who we're gaining, and what you think.
Yeah, gosh, man. As much as I loved G as a human being and as a leader, as a man of God, and I really, really was hoping someone would take a flyer on him in 7th. He did some little things, some intangibles he had, but his greatest asset was his leadership. But it's not like we're losing a ton of production.
Yeah. On that note, 253 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not underscoring the little things, the intangibles, and Will Case Merrick, right? injured for a large portion of the season. When he was in, he was a great blocker, was a very physical guy, helped out in the running back. I think another year of being in the offense, in the system, is going to help him out. And then you get the transfer from Purdue. His name slipped my mind here right now.
Max Claire.
Max, thank you, Big Max. Dude was basically the best catching tight end in the Big Ten. So there's a weapon for you. And then who is there now who's going to step up and give us some more production? We have some guys. They've been there. I kind of like Bennett Christian, to be honest with you guys. As someone who could possibly spell Will Kasmerick if he gets injured again or if he needs a breather. I think the tight end room should be better hypothetically.
I'm taking the tight end room this year. Max Claire just puts it over the top. If you even do 1-for-1, and then everybody else is coming back and with a year of improvement. And Jelani's absolutely locked in. And at 6'7", 265 pounds, running a 4.5 40 with that vertical, I mean, he's going to be hard to stop. He's going to be a nightmare. Jelani, he's a mismatch for any defender. Doesn't matter if it's a safety. Doesn't matter if it's a linebacker. You have to drop a defensive end just to match him physically, size-wise, but they're not keeping up with him foot speed.
Jelani, to me, he's the question mark here, because if he takes that step and he is able to step into that recruiting ranking he had, holy smokes! Who you want to talk about? And you want to talk about how you're going to stop this offense?
You're not. That's my whole point. Yeah. And just a quick thing, a little nugget for you. I work out with Jelani's cousin. He flat out told me Jelani's locked in. This is the most focused they've ever seen him in his whole entire life. So we're going to see.
I was about to say, you're talking to the number one Jelani Thurman fan in the nation, Mello. I promise you that. But I kind of lean towards you, Boggs, with I kind of need to see it. You know what I mean? I need to see that maturity from him, that leadership. And to be honest with you, at the beginning, we heard how focused, we heard some things, but it slowed down. I haven't heard much about Jelani, but Max Claire last year had 685 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns at Purdue. Okay.
Say that last part again. Where?
Yeah, at Purdue. That's why I added that in there. The leading receiver on their team. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with. And again, no knock on G. Scott at all, but it just is what it is. This one is definitely in favor of this year's team for sure. If you ask me, I think Max Claire and then Bennett Christian, more experience there. Jelani Thurman potentially, Max LeBlanc. Nate Roberts is coming in. Not that they're going to impact this year, but the simple answer, Max Claire is coming in, and he's probably the best tight end in the nation coming back, if not one of them. So another one goes towards the 25 group. Okay, so here we go. Left tackle. And obviously this gets a little confusing, but we're going to go with who ended the season at left tackle. Donnie. We talked about him a little bit yesterday, but Mello, you start with left tackle.
This one's tough. So I think Ethan's going to be a slight upgrade because that's his natural position. I think Donnie's naturally a guard, and Donnie did a fantastic job at left tackle, which landed him in the first round, right? So, I mean, salute to Donnie, but I just think the size that Ethan has, his ferociousness, his dancing bare feet, and just the pure athleticism and natural ability at left tackle. I think that's a slight upgrade at that position. And that's not taking anything away from Donnie, because Donnie might be the most important offensive lineman that's come through Ohio State. Now, notice I didn't say the best. I said most important, because without Donnie, there's no way we win a Natty last year.
Agreed.
Yep, 100%. Donnie, Mello pretty much just hit it on the head, but I'm going to have to give the edge to Anianwa. And now listen, I know these are projections we're giving you guys. So I know you can say Julian saying is unproven. We haven't seen Ethan. That's the point of this exercise, is we're projecting. We're making predictions is what we see. And I think Ethan is going to fit the mold better at left tackle. I've got to give the edge to this year's team at left tackle. What about you, Podfather?
Agreed. I was on a Oregon podcast, and they were doing the same thing. They wanted me to break down the depth chart for Ohio State and kind of project a little bit. And he told me Oregon wanted Ethan bad. That was their number one target in the transfer portal. And when he went to Ohio State, a lot of the coaching staff went to panic mode.
Wow. That's a nugget right there. That's good stuff. And by the way, I did want to mention this left tackle position is another one that I debated on using my wash on. That's how close this is for me personally. Okay, so let's go to left guard. We're putting Luke Montgomery, right? Is that correct? Yep. Am I right there? We saw a lot of left guards last year, but let's go with Luke Montgomery. Luke Montgomery. Experience. He's not going to get worse. Okay. So that's what I pick. What you guys got?
Better.
So if we're comparing him to himself, definitely better. If we're comparing him to Donovan, that might be tough.
Yeah, we're not though. So
okay, better
where they started the season. So that one's pretty easy. We're at the same with center. Carson to Carson, experience. We all in agreement that he's going to be better this year than he was last year.
Most definitely. I have him winning the Remington.
Ooh, nice.
I have him winning the Heisman, but I just
anyway,
I'm just joking.
The day that an offensive lineman wins the Heisman, I will be the happiest fat guy you will ever see.
If Orlando Pace can't do it, nobody's doing it.
Exactly.
Did Orlando make it to New York though?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Yeah, he's that good, bro. He was that good.
Okay, so right guard, we want to go with who started? Wasn't it? We want to put Tegra.
Started the season.
Tegra started last year, and I'm putting him starting again this year. I mean, it's got to be a plus. I mean, but when you guys got anything on right guard
over Austin? Do you guys have Austin at right tackle then?
Right tackle.
Okay.
Yeah, we got Austin starting.
I really, really like Austin.
Yeah,
I love him.
I'll just put it out there. I mean, Austin starting right tackle. I think everything in the O-line goes towards this 25 team.
Yeah,
I am so glad you guys are on the same page as me. I got burned by this Oregon guy who thought I was absolutely off my rocker that the offensive line was going to be better.
Oh,
and I told him, I go, dude, you don't understand. The depth on this offensive line has not been this good since Coach Stradawa was here.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I'm trying to do this real fast. So overall, so far, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We are at plus 18 for the 25 team on offense. The 24 team, it was negative 18. So that is a big time. I mean, that's out of a total of 26 points. So 18
think
out of
is really going to start though.
I do. Yeah. For some reason, the coaching staff started him last year, and I think we had better options.
Are you guys heard him speak lately? Mm-mm. He has a little bit more confidence.
Really?
Yeah. Like he's
good.
I think it's maturity, and I think he's just like, you know what? I've gone through those growing pains. Sometimes as an offensive lineman, it takes a while.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why they don't want to give any NIL to guys coming in who are offensive linemen, because they know
that might be changing.
It just takes time to develop these guys.
Yeah.
And you look at our depth this year too. I mean, we got Tegra, Padilla, Daniels, Gabe Van Sickle's been coming on. Who's our other tackle?
Ian Moore. The twins.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have two starting lines, bro.
We do. That's what I was trying to tell the Oregon guys. Like, dude, our backup offensive line is so much better this year than it was last year. It's not even funny. And the backup offensive line, half of them went out there and we won a national championship with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And be honest with you, I think the O-line is going to be the strongest room on the team.
Yeah, the
from
the
top to
Twins
bottom.
are ahead of schedule, ahead of developmental schedule, and that's what I've been told anyway from inside, from like what you would expect, where you would expect them to be. They're ahead of that mark right now. So offensive line's looking really good, recruiting's looking really good, everything. So anyway, on the offensive side of the ball, it's the 25 by a wide margin. Let's get over to the defensive end and see where we wind up here.
I'm not going first.
I got it. So let's just go with defensive end. Jack and JT.
Whew.
It's 24 for me. It just is. I think those guys were really good. It's not that I'm freaking out. We got Jackson, Curry, Logan, Bo Atkinson. I do think we have more depth this year. So honestly, it's really close, but top end, I just like the experience of Jack and JT. Jack, 59 tackles with 9 sacks. JT, 61 tackles with 12.5 sacks. So I've just got to give this edge to the 24 team.
I agree with you, Dev. Now, I had a North Carolina guy on the pod, and he said, by the way, their nickname for Bo was Thor. I love it. Thor
Yeah.
is a great nickname.
Yeah.
Especially when we play Michigan.
Yeah, right. They said on third downs he kicked inside a lot. Do you guys?
Oh, yeah, he
think
did.
that-
It's
do
in
you
his
think that
film.
there's an opportunity there for maybe him to play a little bit more inside?
Yeah.
100%.
Not the whole game, but like I could see him being versatile enough to do both.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to happen a lot this year with Matt Patricia and our loaded room at linebacker. I think Matt Patricia is drooling for odd fronts this year, and I think it's going to happen. Okay,
we'll see what Larry.
He said 24. You said 24.
Oh yeah.
For me,
24.
I think it's so many different jobs and aspects for defensive end, right? Run stopping. You got the pass rushing, getting to the quarterback and pressures, right? So in terms of sacks and pressures, I expect that to go up. But in terms of stopping the run, I'm not as high on that. I'm going to lean towards 24. But I think by the end of the season, we'd probably be saying 25 in terms of production and sack numbers.
Yeah, this one's a lot. This one's very close for me, honestly. And I know us here on the Buckeye Boys, we're very high on our defensive line this year. I know a lot of people aren't. Let's go to D tackle. Who wants to start?
I'll go. Wash.
Okay.
For me, it's a wash. I think
Okay.
K-Mac's going to have the same production as Tyleek, and I think Edric is going to be I think he's going to be slightly better than Ty Hamilton. But if we're talking about the depth of the D tackle spot, I think there's plenty of depth there, but I don't think it's as good as last year. Our second string is not as good as our second string was last year. So
Let me give
I'm
these
going to go wash.
Stats: Tyleek Williams, 46 tackles, 2.5 sacks. Ty Hamilton, 50 tackles, 3.5 sacks. So Ty Hamilton was more productive than Tyleek last year. Even though defensive tackle is not a position, you can look at stats and decide who's the better player. You can kind of throw that out the wind. You know what I mean? They do so many things that aren't on the stat sheet. But Podfather, what you got?
Before I answer this question, are you going to take linebackers individually like you did offensive line or as a unit?
So overall grade's going to be as the unit.
Okay.
Right. But go down and break through each one. You know what I mean?
Then I'm going to go last year for defensive tackles.
Okay. All right. Why?
A lot of the same reasons you said. Mellow depth, number one, inexperience. To me, the defensive line right now is my biggest concern for this team. And that kind of makes me feel good about the season, to be honest with you. Because I think the defensive line actually is going to be better than people think. Yeah. I'm starting to get a little bit more confidence.
Oh, you're on that too?
Mm-hmm. I think, I mean, when you got Thor and you got Caden Curry, who I'm naming Zeus, you got Thor and Zeus, two gods on your defensive line. I think we're going to be pretty good.
Yeah. I like it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I got to give the edge to 24. Just being fair here, Tyreek Williams, first round draft pick, defensive tackle. He was one of my favorite players on the team, maybe my favorite player on the team. I had him for a team MVP before the season last year. I think I
Yeah,
said
you
that on
did.
Ohio Pod. I think I voted for it on Ohio Pod on one of the shows. But again, Edric Houston and K-Mac, boy, by the end of the season, we might be saying,
we might be saying they're good.
yeah,
They're
wow.
Yeah,
Look, I'm a
exactly.
flat out just say I think Edric Houston is going to be better than Ty Hamilton. You're going to see it day one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
right.
this is a close one, but it's like I gotta,
That's fine. I like being different, so I could be the only one that's right after August 30th. You're going to be like, yeah, Melo said it.
Yeah, but we all picked 24, didn't we? Or
No,
did you
I
pick
picked 25 for D
Oh,
tackle.
okay.
I thought you picked Wash. Oh, that was defensive end.
Oh, yeah, I did pick Wash.
You did
He's right, I
Wash.
picked
Yeah,
Wash.
yeah, that's right. That's why I didn't write anything down. All right. Okay, so let's go to linebackers, man. I heard somebody today on a show talk about how much worse our linebacker position is going to be this year. Like a big time show, a big time Ohio State show literally said, we're going to have a big drop off at linebacker this year. They literally said it. And I had to like rewind it and be like, maybe they're talking about something else here. And no, they weren't. Now, Cody Simon was very, very good, underrated good. Like, I don't know. I know we doesn't get talked about more in the season he just had. Was absolutely ridiculous. 112 tackles with 7 sacks. Cody Simon. I mean, somebody talk about him more, please. But Sonny Styles, second year at linebacker, athletic freak. Arvell Reese, the most talked about defensive player, and we have Caleb Downs on our team. And Peyton Pierce and Riley Pettijohn and TJ Alford. I have got to go with I'm picking 25. I'm picking 25 to be that. We're not going to have that slow Sonny Styles 4 games to get into the position, right? We're not going to have that. And those 4 games is honestly why I'm picking the 25 for linebackers. I don't think Arvell Reese is going to have that. All right. Podfather.
This is where I've saved my wash. And I've saved my wash out of respect for Cody Simon. So because he was so undervalued and not talked about enough, in my opinion, by all of us. And so, yeah, because of all of those things, I'm going to say wash here. That's why I asked you if we were going to take them as a group, because that's why I needed to know, because, and again, my whole thinking was out of respect for Cody Simon, I'm going to say wash.
Yep. Mello.
25. I don't think it's particularly close, honestly. You got to remember Sonny Styles' first time in his entire life on this planet playing linebacker, starting at the Ohio State University for a national championship team, right? Second year, I got him winning the Buckeyes. And then you have Arvell right there, who we all we're hearing about is how elite Arvell looks, how good he looks. And Sonny's just a freak show. Like, I know they have him listed at 6'4", but if you look at him standing next to guys that are legit 6'4", he's about 6'5", 6'6", moving that way at that weight. And then you have Riley, you have Peyton Pierce, you have TJ Alford. This linebacker room is nasty. Right now, to me, they're the second best linebacker room in the country, just because they have to prove it on the field, and we already know UGA stacks up linebackers like we stack up wide receivers. So for now, I'm giving the linebacker U to UGA, but I think by the end of the season, linebacker U will be firmly back in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah. I agree with that. Ryan Day's championship beer said, I'm excited about this season, but man, if they're good, imagine what they'll be like in 26. We did this yesterday on the show, Boggs. Just for 30 seconds, think about think about this team next year.
Well, yeah, well, this is one of the reasons why I give myself pause on, the whole They won't repeat. And I think, well, maybe they can, is because everything points to 2026 as being the year. Well, same thing happened in 2014. Everything was pointing to 2015 to be the year.
Yep.
Right.
And then they went out and won the whole doggone thing in 2014. And so, and plus, when you take into account the attitude this team has, take down the championship banners on day one of fall, spring practice. Like, we haven't won nothing. That was their attitude. Things are different over there, man. Like, that's why I think, hey, give us a seat. If you give us a seat, we might run this thing again. So
I know.
Yeah, it's also why I'm not overly concerned about what happens in game 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so wild to me because when I do the final scoring of this, in the fact that we're comparing this year's team to a national title team that went on the greatest, I just watched that run again today and just watched all the highlights to all the playoff games. But the fact that these results are about to be what they are is so mind-blowing, and it makes me question whether I'm being realistic or not. But I think ultimately this goes back to like how much football is like a in-the-moment type of sport. One bounce this way, one bounce that way. And, in the Notre Dame game, for instance, the national title game, just think if we didn't have that lead and it wasn't the leave no doubt. Think of all the moments that Ryan Day has had that game and then something crazy has just happened. It just goes to show you how I don't know, that even if we think a team's more talented, and like in the end of this, we're going to pick 25 teams more talented than the national champs last year. And you would think that's a lock for Natty, but it's just not. Anyway, let's move on. Let's do the corners. That's going to be Jermaine Matthews, Iggy, and Lorenzo Styles with Bryce West, Aaron Scott, Devin Sanchez in there, all backing them up. We lost Denzel Burke and Jordan Hancock. Jordan Hancock had 48 tackles, 1 interception. Burke had 48 tackles with 2 interceptions. Who wants to go?
Are we doing this individually again?
No, as a group, but you can talk about everybody individually. But
Okay,
your overall
so
score is?
As a group, I'm taking 25. I think Iggy is better. He's going to be better. He's not good. I expect him to cut down the pass interference. He does that alone. He's just better. For nickel, I'm gonna be honest. I think Jordan Hancock, I pick him over Lorenzo Styles. And in terms of between Denzel Burke and Jermaine Matthews, I'm going with Maine, that 5'13" kid. I just think he's a better cover corner, personally. I really do. So and then we're talking about the backups. Aaron Scott, another year in the system. Devin Sanchez is literally him. He's a man-child. And he looks very yoked right now. If you haven't seen his graduation pictures, go look at them. Dude is massive. There's no way I'm not picking 25. I'm sorry. Devin Sanchez literally tips the scale over.
So Lorenzo Styles is taking Jordan's spot. That's who it's going to be. But Podfather, what you got?
Wishing I wouldn't have used my wash.
I know, man. I know, bro. I know. I've wanted to say wash. I want to say it 4 times, honestly.
Oh, I'm going to say 24, but I do think this team is much deeper than they were a year ago. Is that fair?
It is. Yeah. I want to be super realistic here. You know what I mean? So I like it. When that happens.
I was a huge Denzel Burke. He started 4 years.
I love Burke too, but Jermaine Matthews,
I know he did.
Just a better cover corner.
Yeah,
that experience is just.
You saw the Texas game. Who got more snaps?
Everything coming out for Jermaine Matthews, all the negative things that I've been hearing, which is not many, is on that one. It's the experience. It's the being consistent. He will have days when he looks better than Burke, and he has days where he looks worse. But then you look at Burke's season last year, and he wasn't the most consistent player either. But when you talk about Jermaine or Burke, I'm going with Jermaine. When you talk about Jordan or Lorenzo, I go with Jordan. And when you talk about this is what tips it in the scales for 25 for me is Iggy with more experience, So that's where I'm at there. I think Jordan Hancock with his versatility, being able to go back to safety at times. It's Lorenzo Styles being talked about having the same versatility, but I think Jordan Hancock was just an elite football player, and I think we're going to miss him. And I like Jermaine Matthews better than I do Burke as far as coverage go and his attitude and whole nine yards. So my edge goes towards 25. All right, here we go. Safeties. I'll take this one first. Caleb Downs coming back for his second year at Ohio State, third year. Going to go to the draft after this and be a top 10 draft pick. So there's a plus there for that. But we lost Lathan Ransom. And as much confidence as I have in Jalen McClain or Malik Harford, but as of right now, it's Jalen McClain that's going to be starting beside Caleb Downs. I got to give it to 24 because Lathan Ransom. I mean, go watch the Rose Bowl. Just go watch it, man. That dude was a freaking truck stick, dude. That's ridiculous. That hit he put on when the Jordan James, is that who he hit? I mean, knocked him completely out of the game. Go watch that hit again, guys. It'll get you. Don't drink coffee in the morning. Just watch that hit. It'll get you going, man. I'm telling you. It's a good one. But yeah, safeties, I got to go with 24. It's just my pick.
See, this is where I wish I would have used my watch now that I think about it.
Hey, you told me no takebacks.
I know.
Oh, there's no scores are not.
Here, I'm actually gonna go opposite of Dev. I'm gonna go 25.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm gonna give you an opportunity, Mello, to hear my argument, and then that'll maybe persuade you one way or the other.
Whatever, dude.
I think Caleb Downs makes whoever plays next to him immediately better in that room. I do. I think he's that good. I'm a slow, fat, old man, and Caleb Downs would make me better. Okay? Because he would cover up all my mistakes. That's how good he is. And pre-snap is where he really shines. He knows what the offense is doing a lot of times before the offense knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is just amazing to think about. It's being said he's the most intelligent defensive player that some of these defensive coaches have ever coached before. Some of these coaches have coached in the NFL, guys. To me, that type of level of play from one guy when you're taking two positions and he's that much better. To me, it's like Jeremiah Smith on the defense.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. I know Jeremiah Smith got the cover of EA Sports NCAA football. Downs should have been on the cover too, if you ask me my opinion.
Yeah, and Ryan Williams should have been in the back standing watching. But the creators are Team Up North grads, so they're not going to put two Buckeyes up there. I see both of your points, honestly. And then I'm doing obviously it's a projection. I'm taking all the information like Will Howard when they were talking about who's next and Lathan Ransom. They brought up Jalen McClain, and Will Howard would talk about how Jalen would be on one hash mark, and I say this all the time, and he'll throw it to the other side of the field, and Jalen will somehow go from the opposite hash mark and intercept him at practice. And he'd be like, how the hell did that kid get there and do that? There's no way he should have made that play. So from that standpoint, I would lean Boggs. But seeing what Lathan did and was doing, him and Caleb Downs are like this. I think by the end of the season, I will say 25. I think Boggs is probably more correct than us on this, but out of fear, I just got to go with 24 because I just want to see my boy Jalen McClain do it. He's a Jersey guy, so I don't doubt him because all the Jersey players, they come to play, especially if they're Buckeyes. So ultimately, what I'm saying is I'm picking 24, but I think Podfather is probably more correct than both of us.
Yeah. There's 20 points total on the defense, and we accomplished nothing because it's plus 10, minus 10. So the defense
that's good
was
news.
A wash. Yeah,
that is great.
I know.
Good news.
It was a wash. But overall, 24 scored a 14 out of 46, and 25 scored a 32 out of 46. So we're saying, we're over half. I don't know how to explain that, but whatever. You guys get it. 25 has a larger number there.
There's more than a 50% chance that we're actually better.
Yes.
Can I answer this real quick for you?
Just so wild, man.
I got some information today. I don't think anybody else knows it, but you guys might as well let go of Griffin. Somebody that's very, very close to him that I know personally said is down to 2 teams, Bama and Texas. So Ohio State's all in on Tyler Atkinson. Griffin is not coming to Columbus. Sorry to tell you that, but Tyler is a lot better than Griffin anyway.
Yeah, we'll kind of we'll talk about recruiting here in a minute. I kind of want to wrap this entire thing up here. Let's just go down the line. Mello, we'll start with you. Just give us your overall thoughts about what we're going to see from this 25 team.
I think we're going to see an explosive team, a very fast team. They're going to be explosive on both sides of the ball. They're going to hit hard on defense. I think with Jalen McClain, we're going to see our interceptions go up. Expect Devin Sanchez to get a lot of snaps. He's a lockdown corner. Expect our corners to be sticky, our linebackers to be fast, filling gaps. And I want to see Sonny Styles better in coverage, covering running backs out of the backfield because he got burnt a little bit in the Texas game on that. I think that's one of the main reasons he decided to come back. And I expect our D-line to show signs of strength. And with Matt Patricia mixing it up, he's going to expose all of our strengths and hide all of our weaknesses. I expect the offense to be better than last year, actually. I think it's going to be more explosive. I think it's going to be harder to stop. And I think Brian Hartline is going to notch his name as a top 3 OC in the sport from his first year.
Let's do this real fast. Chip Kelly or Brian Hartline? It goes to 24 for me.
Yeah, that's not even
Chip Kelly, Jim Knowles, or Matt Patricia.
I'm taking Matt Patricia.
That's so wild that we would all take Matt Patricia when Jim Knowles had the #1 defense in the nation. Isn't that wild to even think about?
I have a really mean thing to say, but I'm not going to
say it.
Yeah, all right, Podfather, let's hear it. Give us your breakdown. And
we might have already said it.
I don't know that Matt Patricia has a sister on X.
Gotcha.
I know. Yeah, enough said. But to give us your overall breakdown, throw in the coordinators, and what's your thoughts on this 25 season, man?
I think that the inexperience is going to cause there to be some mistakes early on, but their athleticism is going to make up for that in space early on. I believe that by the time we get to mid-season, this team is going to be showing some signs of a championship level caliber team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more concerned, to be honest with you, because of the placement of where the game is. The game against Illinois and the visit to Champaign than I am against Penn State at home.
Yeah.
Plus, I'll be honest with you. I think Big Bert's a better coach than James Franklin ever will be.
Yeah. I do too. I agree.
And by the time we get to the end of the season and we go to Ann Arbor, I think that Ryan Day and this team will be absolutely out for blood. They will want to plant a flag in Ann Arbor. They won't, because we're not like that. Yeah. But right. they will be planting their flags all over that stadium. You better believe it. They'll be out for blood. I think Ryan Day wants to get back to Indianapolis. It's been a long time since he's been there. And as I'm prepared to do, I think that that the Nike Bowl Part 3 between the Ducks and Bucks will be taking place in Indianapolis this year.
Okay. For me on offense, it's kind of weird for me to say that I think I was a little bit more confident in our offense last year, but what tips that for me is Chip Kelly coming in, which really gave me that confidence. I had a lot of faith in Will Howard and the experience that he had. But I think this year's offense can be better. I just think there's bigger questions that need answered. Last year you had the quarterback question, but he had experience. And you did not have a coordinator question. There just wasn't one there. This year, you have both those questions. You have the Julian Sain and the Brian Hartline, but I think the ceiling is higher for this offense, and I think the floor is lower for this offense because of those two things right there. Now, on defense, back up. On offense, I love what you said, Podfather. I think it's kind of going to be a wash there because there's so much skill on this offense that if Brian Hartline is struggling or Julian Sain is struggling, it will get covered up, by the skill that we have. You don't got to get complicated with play calling when you got the best offensive line in the nation. You don't got to throw perfect throws when you have the best wide receivers and the best tight end in the nation. You know what I mean? You don't have to, they'll make up for that. As far as defense goes, I'm way more excited about Matt Patricia. I love Jim Knowles and what he did, but there were also things behind the scenes that I always had issues with Jim Knowles and the way that he operated and the way that he ran things. And there's even being more light shown on, again, much respect to Jim Knowles, love him to death, think he was a great defensive coordinator, but I'm way more excited about Matt Patricia coming in here, mixing up these fronts with these talents. I think Jim Knowles, I think there was a lot of talent not utilized in the correct way on this Buckeyes defense over the past couple years. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. So I actually, even though we're losing the defensive line like we are, for some reason, I'm more confident in our defense for this year's season than I was last year. But the opposite is for the offense, even though it's kind of like, but our offense could be better and our defense could be worse, so that's where I'm at. But again, I just feel like we totally have the opportunity to go back to back, but football is such a momentum, one play type of thing. If this team gets hot at the right moment, they will be unstoppable. I mean, just Jeremiah Smith alone is enough to say that, so the weapons that we have on this team, it's definitely a realistic thing to say. I mean, Vegas thinks so, that we can go back to back. So
we forgot to do Coach Day. Last year's Coach Day or this year's Coach Day?
I'm gonna go this year's. I'll pick this year's.
Who you got, Podfather?
It's not even close. He's got so much more confidence. He's got swag now. Dude's got swag.
Yeah.
You see him out there golfing with Saban today?
Yeah.
Picking
the GOAT's brain a little bit. Like, hey, man, I'm coming for you, bro.
And you see Saban said, I got a little Buckeye in me. I started there.
Yeah, a little Buckeye in him.
He does. He does have a little Buckeye in him. He coached here. He's from Ohio. It's just coaching cradle of, the cradle of coaches in this state, my man. But one thing about Jim Knowles, and I agree everything that you said, Dev, and I want to repeat that.
Yeah.
But his personality, I think, clashed with our culture. And I think that was the underlining issue last year behind the scenes that no one's really kind of talking about. And he's kind of an old crotchety get off my lawn guy, which I like because I'm becoming that person. But no, he just didn't. He clashed with the culture that Ryan Day and that team built. And despite that, despite the fact that he clashed with that, the culture was so strong that those players overcame that. Think about that. That's such a rare thing.
Think about how funny it is that Penn State thinks they stole something from us. Listen, I'm going to just flat out tell you, me and Dev had information about Coach Knowles and what was going on back in October. We never reported on it. We didn't want it to get out there. We had solid information. A lot of it started coming out after he left and at the end of the season. But me and Dev, we literally had a discussion for like 30 or 40 minutes. Do we do a show on this or do we keep it quiet? We decided to keep it quiet for the betterment of the team because we felt like if it got out and people picked it up, and even though we're a little podcast, if people picked it up and ran with it, it could divide the team and split the culture, and we wouldn't it could affect the Natty run. So in terms of Jim Knowles as a character, I'm glad he's gone. I'm just tell you that right now. I'm happy you help us win a Natty and turn the defense around, but thank God Coach P is here. And you can tell how the players are responding and talking about him, how excited they get. And how the recruits are like, yeah, Matt Patricia is recruiting me. That's also a big factor in the Tyler Atkinson, not just the James Laurinaitis angle, but Matt Patricia broke him down and was showing him how he's going to use him in the system. Do you think Glenn Schumann has the same intelligence level and IQ of a defense that Matt Patricia has? Absolutely not. So when it's a battle between those two, and then you also have a guy like James Laurinaitis, and you're talking about arguably the best linebacker to come out in over a decade out of high school, I mean, that's reason he told people, yeah, Ohio State's the top school for me right now. And he's been to UGA over 15 times. He's only been to Ohio State 6. So that's all I wanted to say. Like, we're in great hands.
Yeah, on that note, real fast, Ohio State has a better nil package put together than Georgia does for Tyler Atkinson. But I got a question for you guys. Last year, Ryan Day picked up the phone and says, hey, we have an opportunity to get rid of Jim Knowles and take Matt Patricia, but Jim Knowles doesn't want to go. What are you voting for? Are you voting to keep Jim Knowles, or are you voting to replace him?
Are you talking about
I'm going to be real.
Or before the beginning?
After the season, right?
Okay.
None of this stuff coming out. I would say keep Jim Knowles. I'm just being honest. That's what I would have chosen. But now that the thing is, I'm just trying to be real with myself. Now that I have seen Matt Patricia and what he is doing, if I would have known that, I would have said switch him out, right? And if I would have known everything else we figured out about Jim Knowles a little bit more, but just the fact that we had the number one defense last year, the system was in place. And yes, there were things that aggravated me about Jim Knowles. It got the job done, right? And I would have just wanted to keep the same type of system. But I'm curious your guys' thoughts on that. Chat, you guys as well. Take yourself back to that moment. We win a national title, and Jim Knowles says, yes, I want to stay and coach again. But Ryan Day says, well, we can get Matt Patricia. Not knowing what you know now, what are you doing? You keeping Jim Knowles, or you getting Matt Patricia?
I think hindsight's 2020, obviously. So yeah. I mean, you know, but to be completely honest with you, Devin, I'm right there with you. I mean, it's hard to argue against the results you saw on the field, coupled with, you know, let's run it back, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I'm gonna stress this again. What won this national champion? The only way Ohio State gets up off the mat after November 30th and Ryan Day and these players go on a rocky round 12 knockout run like they did is because of the culture those players built with Ryan Day. That's the only reason. If the culture wasn't there, if it wasn't strong enough to overcome that loss, and the fact that their own defensive coordinator wasn't a good fit, there's no chance they win a national championship.
Yeah.
And so it is paramount for Ryan Day that he maintains this culture he has built, because now the proof is in the pudding. The results are there. It works. And if he wants to do it again and again and again and build that quote unquote dynasty, he has to guard against things that will kill a culture. Sorry, Jim, that was your attitude.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because it's like, let's be honest, 9 out of 10 times, I would guess, like a defensive coordinator that kind of impacts a culture like that, 9 out of 10 times, that's going to affect a team to the point where we don't win a national title last year. But because we had all that veteran leadership that was over to overcome those things, right? Whatever it be, not saying Jim was the only one. There's several other things that try to infiltrate the culture at Ohio State. But when you add in an important position as defensive coordinator, who's talking to every player on the defense, I would say more often than not, that stuff can be detrimental to a team. And, you know, looking at how young this team is this year, you just never know. you never know. And looking at where we're at on our defensive line this year and the fact that I think we're going to need multiple fronts, I just don't know how that would have went, and I agree with you. I think the reason why Ohio State is the winningest college football team in the last 25 years and Ryan Day is doing what he is doing is for one reason and one reason only, and that's the culture. And it's kind of the same type of thing we see in the recruiting realm where we get so upset as fans because we don't pay more or we don't offer or we're not in on or we don't communicate. Well, knowing what me and Mello know now, I promise you, we know why. It's culture stuff. A lot of the Ohio kids last year that didn't come to Ohio, would Ohio State have taken them? Yeah, but they're not going to go out of their way to do it because it's the, hey, you got to want to be a Buckeye. You got to be selfless. You got to put yourself last here. When you become a Buckeye, your last place, the Block O is number one. Jesus is number one. The Block O is number one. Your brothers are number two. That's the mentality you have to have. And that goes against the grain of just the world, period. Oh, yeah. So imagine when you narrow it down to elite football players, how small that circle gets. I mean, the group of recruits that fit that culture is a lot smaller than I think we actually realize. The Devin Sanchez's of the classes, the Riley Pettijohns, the Tavian St. Clairs. Look at how rare Tavian St. Clair is as a 5-star number 1, number 2 recruit in the nation.
Unicorn, dude.
Like a 1 percentile.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my goodness, let's calculate all the 5 stars out of the past 5 years and kind of see the type of attitude or character they had and if they chose money or what they did. I promise you, Tavian St. Clair is like a 1 percentile. That's who Ohio State's getting, and that's why you saw the Natty last year. That's why you see the things you're seeing, and that's also why you don't see the things that you don't see. The speeding tickets, the trouble, the grades, and all this stuff, man. It's a beautiful thing what Ryan Day is doing with this team. So
I'm going to answer the question because I never answered it. Being that we've heard what we heard in October, right? Seeing October 12th, what happened in that game, then knowing the fact that him and Larry were not going to get along. It doesn't matter what they were going to say in person. They were never going to get along. Larry's the GOAT. He wasn't really recruiting very hard. It's really easy to say, yeah, keep him. But I probably would have been like, all right, he could leave. We could definitely find someone that could do the same thing at a minimum, but fits personality-wise with the coaches, right? Like, because you got to think about it. If you're a coach, you want to enjoy coming to work because you're spending almost probably like 18 hours a day in that facility with the other coaches. You're basically spending more time with them than your own family. So if you have one oddball in the group, and we've all experienced that where we had one person didn't fit and everybody's miserable, like, oh, I got to go here. Like that energy transfers onto the players. So for me, was I upset when he left? A little bit, but now that I think about it, I was mainly upset because he went to Penn State. It wasn't the fact that he left. It was because he went to Penn State. So in that factor, yeah, I was perfectly fine with him leaving. I knew we would upgrade the position.
If the brotherhood doesn't exist amongst the coaches, how can they preach that to the players?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. After he left and I found out how he left and where he went, I was glad he was gone. After the fact, you know what I mean? But I'm saying before all that, right? Like 10 seconds after the national title, are you saying Jim Knowles, get out? We want Matt Patricia?
Well, if Day's saying that, yes, I'm going to trust him because I trust Day wholeheartedly. So, like, if Day comes 10 minutes after, then that means it's uber bad that he coming out saying, like, hey, we're getting Matt Patricia, you can leave. Then I know it was even worse than even what we were told. So, in that scenario, yes, I'm still like, why?
I mean, if Day comes up to me and says that,
yeah,
that's different, you know. Sure.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think, but it is what it is. But based off of the exercise we just did, we put last year's team up against this year's team, 70% of the time, we're going to pick this year's players over last year's players. Think about that. 70% of the time, we chose 25 over 24.
Right.
That blows my mind. And it begs the question, how realistic are we being as fans here, as YouTubers? I think I was super realistic. I do. Chat, are we being realistic here to think that 70% of the time we're choosing this year's position groups? We're projecting, it's just a hard exercise to do. There's so many variables, so many things to think of, but overall, very fun. Podfather, Mello, you guys got anything you want to add to this show, man? I had a blast.
Hey, I had a great time. Thank you for joining us, Podfather. Thank you for starting us off. Thank you for the chat, holding it down. Hey, we're going back to back. Stay positive, stay focused. Don't let anybody get in your head and take your joy, and keep Jesus first. Always remember that, no matter what. This is what our show is about. We're built on faith, and we love the Lord, and we hope you guys do as well. Thanks, Podfather. Love you guys.
Thank you, Mello. Appreciate that, man. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to jump on here with you guys again. You guys are fantastic, and love the show, and appreciate everything you guys do. Appreciate all of you in the chat, and looking forward to this going back to back. Maybe, man, that would be first time in Ohio State history.
Yeah, that'd be pretty wild. I'm gonna get a trivia question out of the way here. We're just going to do a one-pointer real fast, and if nobody gets it, it's what it is. But you guys ready? How many interceptions did Mike Sensenball have in his career to hold the Buckeyes record? How many interceptions in his career? We'll give you 2 guesses each. You get 2 guesses each tonight. Nope. Not 14, not 15, not 12. Uncle Bubba. Gosh darn. Uncle Bubba nailed it, man. Got it. The answer is 22. Ooh, A. Meadows right behind him. Uncle Bubba, you got 3 now. The leader is the Natural with 12 to win a ticket to the Washington game. But you got to pay for your flight. You got to pay for your food. You got to pay for your hotel. If you can't go, I'll give you the money that I paid for the ticket. But you have to use that money towards an Ohio State game. You have to go to an Ohio State game, send me pictures, and you have to buy me a ticket next year. And you have to.
This is getting better by the minute. Now I see why you did this. Man, if you don't go, you have to give your ticket to the Podfather. Yeah. I really considered going to that game.
Oh, I'm going. You should go, bro. That'd be sick.
The problem is my job, man. It's like the worst time of year.
Yeah, but I mean, jobs are overrated anymore, man.
Says the guy who's got it made right now. Okay.
No, I totally get it, but I don't know, man. It's just wild. Definitely, you got to have a job, but I don't know, man. For me anymore, it's like those experiences that you only get one time to experience in life. It's just like, how much is that worth to you?
Hey, I'll tell you this, Dev. If you get a chance to come to the Big Ten championship game, you got to. I mean, I know you've been to some bigger games than I've ever been to, and that's awesome. But watching a Big Ten championship game in Indy it's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
I will go, right? When we get there, I'll go. Somebody's saying this book that I used for the trivia was wrong. They're saying the answer is 27. I just go by this book. I don't know. I'm not that smart with that stuff, but unless it's wrong, I mean, Uncle Bubba still gets the point because my book says it's 22. But all right. Well, heck, hey, man, we appreciate you coming on here. We got to have it. We got to make it happen more often. A little bit slow in the Buckeye news, but recruiting is picking up big time. Big Savion Hyder's coming in. Felix Ojo. Luke Waffle, Jake Krull, and my predicted commit to come out of this official visit, Kari Wilder, the defensive end out of California. That's my sneaky commit. And as told on the Buckeye Boys a while ago, Felix Ojo is a big-time player for Ohio State. They have a pretty nice package put together for him. And it's one of those packages where it's like, I mean, I'll just, as an example, $1 million is $1 million. Like 1.1 million or $1 million at that point in time, you're still a millionaire. You know what I mean? But on that note, Mello, Podfather, any final words? Nah, we're good to go. All right.
Melo's so cool that even when he says nah, it's still cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
I switched up the outro video, so you guys will enjoy this. But on that note, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH.
I-O.
I-O.